All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Esoteric Wellness Podcast, where we explore health and wellness from the deep, dark depths of the unknown, the hidden, the misunderstood, the misinterpreted, the misled, and the forgotten. All right, it's been a little while since we've recorded.
We've had complaints, apparently. Trisha, Courtney, whoever else. We took a little hiatus
Yeah,
in the month of August.
our small number of regular listeners are like, when's the next one coming out? And
See, people do like us, so tell your friends.
we've been a little busy lately, a lot of change happening. So yeah, we've been a little preoccupied, but I've had this episode planned out for quite a while now, but here we are. Better late than never, I guess.
It just builds the anticipation, so you're welcome.
But yeah, I want to get back on the schedule about 2 episodes a month at least. So we're barely making it, but
I mean, listen, we tried. That's all that matters. Anyway, well, I'm Megan, and that's Kyle, and I told him we're trying to work out the kinks, so we should probably introduce ourselves up top, so that way people know who we are. If you've made it this far in and haven't figured that out yet, that's on you.
it's episode 4. They should know who we are by now.
I think everybody who mostly listens are our friends anyway. So.
Well, they should really know who we are.
Exactly.
Right?
Anyway, in case you don't, hi.
So yeah, like I said, we've been busy, a lot of change happening. I'm now working from home again exclusively.
Oh boy.
Closed up my physical office location, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And kind of adjusting back to working from home, which, I never hated by any means, but
You're always here.
I am always here now.
Always.
I have no reason to leave the house now.
Oh boy. His dream come true. He doesn't have to go out and people.
I never have to put pants on if I don't want to. I think I do every day, but
Your grandma would be proud of that one.
Yeah, so today I have planned getting into autoimmunity.
My favorite.
Which I know is maybe a very applicable topic for you.
It is.
It is something you have dealt with.
Myself, my family, a lot of people I know.
Yeah.
We seem to have guests with us today.
Yeah, if you hear animals in the middle of us talking, whether it's a dog barking or a cat meowing or a bird screaming,
we have a zoo.
We are recording from home now. So.
And my cat is trying to crawl on my lap. So, I'm not going to deny him scratches.
Or a teenager making some kind of weird noise.
Again, we have a zoo. So, anyway, yeah, back on topic. Autoimmunity. Yeah, it's something that affects me every day. It's something that affects my mom, close friends of mine. Apparently a hell of a lot of people. So what exactly is it?
Well, that's a big question.
Give us the Cliff's Notes version.
The reason I chose this topic is I think autoimmunity is quickly becoming a very common problem. And I think it's one of the most misunderstood chronic conditions out there right now. Because there's a lot of different varieties within the umbrella of what we call autoimmunity. And I think even within the medical system, a lot of doctors don't fully understand what autoimmunity is, what causes it, and how to address it. Is where a lot of the misunderstanding lies right now. Is what do you do about this?
Well, it's something that's very hard to diagnose, right? I mean, it's something that you'll have to go through A lot of tests and
Well,
questions and things with the doctor.
it's
And
seemingly hard to diagnose, but I don't know that it really is.
okay, well, from my experience and my mother, yeah, it was something that was very difficult. You had to go through the gamut of, oh, the tests and the questions, and it could be this, but it could be that. It could, before they. It's one of those invisible illnesses, and that's the thing that's I think so difficult for folks who struggle with autoimmunity. It's not something physical you see, you know. It can be, but mostly it's something that is inside and you don't see it. So it's hard to pinpoint that.
Well, I think it's definitely physical, and the the issues that it causes are physical.
Yeah.
What isn't so physical is what's causing that,
Yes.
which we'll get into in more detail. But so essentially, when we say autoimmunity, what that means is some type of damage caused somewhere in the body by our own immune system. Okay.
Traitor.
So it's often said like the body's attacking itself. I don't think that's a misguided perspective on it, but it is damage caused by our own immune system somewhere in the body. And last I looked, there's more than 100 different named conditions and syndromes within autoimmunity.
That's impressive.
The list is growing all the time.
Sure.
And these are just different ways in which this damage caused by the immune system can manifest. So the immune system affects the entire body, and it just depends where that damage happens, how severe it is, and that kind of thing. So the more common ones we talk about is like fibromyalgia is a common one.
That's mom.
Rheumatoid arthritis.
That's mom. Just
What else
just
does your mom have?
apart from just the traditional crazy, I'm not really sure, but as far as I know, her big ones are the RA and the fibro.
So yeah, this can be like painful joints a lot of times. It can be skin conditions like rashes.
It's your psoriatic arthritis can cause that.
And this can be pain in like the mouth, the nose. It can cause all kinds of different
Fatigue.
problems. I mean, and really the underlying thing going on there is inflammation.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about inflammation, there's really two types. Okay, there's what most people think of when you say inflammation, which is swelling of the tissues. Like if I ran my knee into this desk really hard, it's going to swell up. That's a type of inflammation.
Yep.
That's not the type we're talking about. What we're talking about is more activation of the immune system. So that swelling type of inflammation is more to heal physical trauma to tissues. Okay. The other type is more activation of the immune system by your body sends into the bloodstream like proteins, different types of cells, different types of chemicals that act as they're there to identify and get rid of some foreign substance, bacteria, virus, whatever it might be. And they're going to identify that, attack it, kill it, and get it out of the body. Okay. In the nature of, I'm not going to go really into detail of what all happens with this because it is really quite complex, and we could do an episode on that alone. But the general idea is these ways of fighting off pathogens can also damage tissue in the body. So it's kind of like a friendly fire, if you will. You got to burn down a little bit of the house to get, the infestation out in a way.
One of those what they call collateral damage.
Yeah. So when you think of like when you get a cold, like a really bad cold, what happens?
You get a fever.
You get a fever.
You get snotty. You get gross.
Yeah.
Lymph nodes swell.
You're by all appearances falling apart.
Just miserable. We're just gonna label it.
And all of that is to get whatever you're infected with out of your body. Okay. Now, with autoimmunity, what happens is this gets turned on and stays on. It's chronically on, it's chronically activated. So, this friendly fire, if you will, wherever it's happening in the body, begins to build up. And that damage keeps adding up, keeps adding up. And since it's always happening, you're not healing fast enough to keep up with it. Because normally, when the immune system's activated in this way, it's temporary. We're dealing with the onset of an infection of some kind, some foreign material, whatever. It gets activated, it deals with it, and it turns off. So the immune system is not designed to be on all the time. Now, we'll get into the causes of this inflammation, what's activating the immune system, because there can be a whole lot of different things. And this is part of the complexity with autoimmunity, is that there's so many different things that can cause it, which we'll get into. So one of the most irritating things I see with autoimmunity is the mishandling of it by our modern system of medicine.
I wouldn't know anything about it.
Not at all. So because it can present in so many different ways, I think most doctors are not yet looking at this as one problem. If you have symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis, they send you to a rheumatologist.
Here's some pills.
You might see like an endocrinologist or something. It's a gastroenterologist, a dermatologist, an immunologist. They're going to send you to all these different specialists based on your symptoms. And more often than not, these specialists are not communicating with each other. They're not all on the same page. So you end up getting different treatment plans, and no one's looking at the root of the problem, right? What are you doing?
I'm trying to get the cat out.
Oh my God.
Where did he go? Come on. Are you paused?
No.
We're recording.
We're still recording.
Yes.
You are fighting with the cat.
The small hairy children are batting at each other under the door.
The door from the beginning.
Well, you know what? This is life, and it's real, and it's dirty, and here we are. Anyway.
You are distracting me something off.
Well, the cat's distracting me. But anyway, so yes, they don't work together. And that was one of the major things that I encountered when I went. And I woke up one day with the most god-awful inflammation and pain I've ever felt in my life. Go to my general care provider, and they're like, oh, let's run some tests. Cool. Tests are good. And I had really high SED rates and different things like that they typically test for. And they're like, oh, we think you have RA. Your mom has RA. Makes sense. Go to a rheumatologist, but here's some pills. Oh, and I'm pretty sure at the very end was avoid sugar in your diet. And that was literally about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I went to orthopedics too. Like,
who has a totally different perspective.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was definitely frustrating when they send you from one to the other, to the other, to the other. And you're getting, like you said, conflicting things. Things aren't working, this, that, and whatever. It's just, what do you do when you have to advocate for yourself, but you don't know what you're doing?
Right. Yeah, this is a super frustrating aspect of this, is how just grossly mishandled it is much of the time. And, it's becoming better understood, but it's still got a long, long way to go.
Sure.
And to add to that complexity, autoimmunity actually has a role to play in like 40 plus additional diseases where the inflammation from autoimmunity is not the primary cause, but it's still playing a role.
Mm-hmm.
It's an additional complication involved in that. So like diabetes is a good example. By no means is this the cause of diabetes, but it can be, an additional complication added on top of everything else that's often ignored.
What? You're telling me that the one thing they're throwing stuff at's not what really needs fixed or something else?
So why, and this is not this is the question that a lot of medicine isn't asking is why? What's activating the immune system? What is the root cause of this?
Oh.
And this is where it can vary greatly. But the common belief, I think this is starting to change, but it used to be for autoimmunity, this is just, you're going to have to live with this.
Literally heard that.
This is just the way it is. It's genetic, that kind of thing. You just tough shit, basically.
So, like we said, my mom struggles with RA and has for some years now. And this was the woman who didn't even take like ibuprofen before. Like she was never really sick. She never had to take any kind of medication. And then all of a sudden one day it's like, boom, here it is. And she told me, and I tell you what, I've never been so upset with a medical provider and wanted to just storm in there when she went in and said to him that I'm so tired. Like, what is happening? What can I do? I am exhausted. And he looks at her and says, that's just part of it. You're going to have to deal with it. What in the hell kind of person who is there to help you just looks at you and says, deal with it. So I told her I was coming to her next appointment. She told me no. And then I said I was going to have my sister tell me when it was and just show up because it's absolutely unforgivable to be like that to a person who's coming to you for help. It's what you do. And they're literally telling you, tough titties. Like, come on, man.
I think it's a symptom of not knowing what to do.
Then what's wrong with saying, I'm not sure, let's research this, let's ask around? To me, that
Doctors don't have time to do that. They got to pump a patient out that door every 15 minutes, right?
That's a long visit. What are you talking about? I'm pretty sure it's like 5 to 8. And I'm not even joking.
Yeah, I remember reading a report. The average time spent with a primary care doctor was, less than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
How can they figure out what's going on in that amount of time?
Welcome to America, kids. You pay an ungodly amount in your premiums and copays, but you get 5 minutes. Cool.
So yeah, this misconception that it's genetic, it just happens to some people. Well, if that were the case, why are rates of autoimmunity skyrocketing? That doesn't match something that's caused by genetics.
Well, that's what I was told. Hey, yeah, your mom has it. So, yeah, sure, you probably have it too. Then that makes sense.
As we'll get into, I think it's more learned behavior than genetics.
Thanks, Mom.
But so when genetics first came about, like we first started learning about genetics, it's like any new idea in medicine. We learn something new and then we try to apply it to everything. And then we find out later, well, that's totally wrong.
It was a good try, though.
So
it was a good
genetics
try.
is a perfect example of this. We got on this idea that every disease is genetically determined from the moment you're born, conceived, even before you're born. And that's a very overly simplistic explanation. Yes, the genetics you have are determined when you're conceived, and those can't change. But there's this whole other layer called epigenetics, which is what's determining what part of your genes are expressed and which are not. And this is constantly changing. And this is by and far mostly determined by environmental factors.
So nature versus nurture kind of a thing?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's go down this tangent. I'm going to explain genetics to people.
Hold on, kids.
It's really important to understand this for so many other reasons beyond what we're talking about today. And it's really going to set a foundational understanding for our listeners. So, when we talk about your genes, your DNA, right? It's this double helix, structure that contains all these lines of code, essentially. So you think of your DNA as blueprints, okay? This is what's read to determine what happens in the body. This is what tells certain cells to do certain things in whatever way. So just because you have this whole book of blueprints doesn't mean you have to build everything in there. Cool. So there's lots of sections of our DNA that are not ever used, not turned on, not activated, however you want to say that. Okay. So what determines what part of the blueprint gets read? Okay. This is determined by a lot of things, what we're exposed to, the food we eat, the thoughts we think, the emotions that we feel. It's all chemistry in the body. Okay. Now, the DNA is wrapped up in protein shields called the chromosomes, right? And this shield of protein around the DNA structure has it's kind of sensors on it that detect substances in the so this is inside the cell, right? So that cytoplasm, you know, it's letting whatever's in the cell membrane is let in. Oh God, we're going to do a whole biology lesson now.
I didn't do well in biology, so I'm just sitting back and taking it in just like you guys.
So yeah, it's like a cell within a cell, right? You have the chromosomes in the cell nucleus, which is inside of a cell, which is inside of a cell membrane. Okay. So on your cell membrane, you have sensors basically that, they're proteins that bind to a specific chemical compound. And whenever what it's designed to look for, it detects that, it opens up an opening in the cell, which I can't remember the name of that right now. But it'll allow, proteins, chemicals to come through the cell wall into the cell, into the cytoplasm of the cell. Okay.
Pretty sure I remember doing something about this in beauty school.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. But I'm having like these, oh yeah, moments.
So every cell in your body has all these sensors on the outside of it that's looking for certain things. So what gets into the cell is based on our environment. It's the chemistry of our blood and lots of things determine that, which we'll get into more. But so whatever's floating around in that cytoplasm in the cell can then interact with your chromosomes. And again, that protein shield around your DNA has sensors on it as well. When certain things, are detected, what happens is it breaks open that protein shield around your DNA. And this thing called a polymerase, I think I'm probably not pronouncing that right.
We don't know any difference. You could just say what you like.
Yeah, but it'll come in there and it'll read the DNA. Okay, it'll actually split it apart, read it, copy it, and then that'll go out into a protein, and whatever part of the DNA it's read will tell that protein what to do. Okay. Following me?
I feel like I should draw a picture while you're going through this.
That would be great if we could. But
Next class, everybody needs to bring their crayons.
so the chemistry in your blood is getting into your cells, is getting into your chromosomes, and that's determining what part of your DNA, that blueprint, gets read and then turned into instructions. So once that's read, it's copied, that's turned into RNA. And those are actual instructions for cells or proteins or whatever that gets carried off to. Okay. So the DNA, it's just a blueprint. It's not determining anything. What's really determining things, it's what part of that blueprint gets read and turned into RNA instructions. With me?
Yep. I'm waiting for the
what?
Okay. We just had our genetics thing. So it goes through a double security process, picks out what it's reading, and then sends it off.
Yeah. So the whole point,
I just broke that whole thing down in 3 seconds.
The whole point of me going through this is that your genetics, your DNA doesn't determine shit. Okay.
Okay.
Your environment that determines what parts of your DNA get read and turned into instructions is what's determining whether you have this or that or whatever trait or disease. So Just because you have it today doesn't mean you have to have it forever. It can be turned back off. We can change the chemistry in the blood, which changes which parts of your DNA get read and turned into instructions.
Okay, how do we do that?
Well, lots of ways. We'll get into this. But I just want to set the stage that this is not predetermined destiny by any means. You don't have autoimmunity because you're genetically predisposed. Predisposition is not the same as destiny. Okay. It's just maybe a slight increase in likelihood. Might mean that you have that set of instructions in your blueprint DNA, but doesn't mean it has to be read and turned into anything. Right?
Got it.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, epigenetics is always changing. We're always affecting it. So just because it is what it is today doesn't mean it has to be that tomorrow.
Science.
And those epigenetic changes can happen pretty darn fast. I've seen studies where they're looking for epigenetic changes, and within minutes, you can detect these changes within the chromosomes. So it's not like this has to take years to make these changes in your body. It can be done relatively quickly.
Well, let's get on this shit.
Quicker than I can explain it.
Yeah, we know that. Buckle in.
So again, all this centers around inflammation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all these differences and what brand of autoimmunity you have is just where this inflammation is occurring in your body, right? And often people have multiple expressions of it. Like that's probably more common, especially someone who's had it for quite a while, is they'll start with one thing and then it'll be something else. And that's just kind of the way it tends to progress.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. Would you want to share, I guess, what you've dealt with as far as autoimmunity?
Let's take it back about 35 years. And I guess my first bout started off with asthma. I was diagnosed with asthma at a year and a half old. Come to find out, I'm pretty sure it's because of dairy. If you do some research into dairy intolerance, asthma is a huge, like at the top of the list, along with your typical gut issues that you have. But asthma's up there. Did know that. I wonder who the hell gave it back to me. The dairy mom. I'm just gonna throw her out here a lot in this show. Mom.
She doesn't listen to the show, does she?
I can see Amanda pausing it and playing it for her though. So yeah, Amanda, play this part for her. So it started off with that. The older as I got older, you might have to help me because you've put up with me for many years. You'll have to see if I've missed anything.
Still putting up with you.
It's mutual, honey. So asthma was a huge, huge thing in my life. I got older, like I said, the inflammation kind of started. And that's where the we think you have RA and things like that came into play. And I've kind of been dealing with that for it's been a couple of years now. I think we've got it kind of pinned down as to what and I'm sure we'll get into this, what my triggers are for that. Like you said, it's not this predetermined, here it is kind of thing. And there's reasons why it happened. And it's not just because you wake up one day and your body's pissed off and it's going to do it. There are those triggers. And I figured mine out. You think one day I'd learn to stop eating the things that cause mine, but here we are. Is that about it as far as the autoimmunity? Did I miss anything?
I think that's it.
Oh, that's just the autoimmune immune portion of my my menagerie of health issues.
Save the rest for later.
That's for different shows.
Your wealth of topics to talk about.
Oh, I'm a hot mess. Take your pick. We can start at the top and work your way down.
So let's talk a little bit about like standard treatments for autoimmunity today that for the most part don't work.
Drugs.
Yeah, drugs. Usually immune suppressants or anti-inflammatories.
Lots and lots of drugs.
Each of those with fairly serious side effects usually.
Well, I can tell you right now, methotrexate is a drug that's used frequently for rheumatoid arthritis. Methotrexate was a chemotherapy and a yellow fever, like malaria drug. Yeah. This isn't like a funsy drug side effect, like, Viagra was actually like a hypertension drug. And with just a very surprising side effect, ping. Um, no, this is a chemotherapy and malaria drug that they're using for rheumatoid arthritis. So it is a nasty, nasty thing. They also use antidepressants. Cymbalta is a big one because of the musculoskeletal properties that it has. Oh my God, the amount of mom would have been mom would have been a really great guest to have one because she could ramble off all the different drugs that they've prescribed to her, some that work, some that don't work, some that stop working. Yeah. So,
Yeah, but these drugs address the symptom.
yeah.
Inflammation.
Hmm.
So they're either suppressing your immune system, which
Yep. Opened you up for a whole other slew of problems.
or they're just trying to reduce inflammation generally.
The side effects are terrible.
Who's looking for the source of the issue?
Well, like I told you, when I went into the doctor, they threw the, oh, just, your dietary, watch your sugar intake. It was literally the only thing that I was
Because
told.
sugar is the only potential
That was it.
cause of
That was it.
inflammation. Wow.
Shit you not. Here's some pills. Go see the rheumatologist. Watch your sugar.
And the rheumatologist is going to what?
I didn't go to him.
Give you more pills, right?
Well, like I said, look at I could probably literally pick up the phone right now and tell you that mom's on probably 5 different medications.
Mm-hmm. And
to
they
try
don't
to
work, right?
Very few of them
Or
give
if
her
they
any
do,
kind of
it's
relief.
temporary.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're not addressing the problem.
It is masking the pain. That's typically what it is for her. It is helping to control the pain and potentially the inflammation. But the side effects of them are insane. Like your liver functions have to be checked very, very frequently because these damage liver. Your eyes have to be checked frequently because it can damage your eyesight. To fix one thing, you're ruining a multitude of other things. But we're not looking at why it's doing it.
But you're not even fixing anything.
No. Band-aids. Band-aids all around.
You're just putting your finger in the dike, essentially. No one's plugging the hole or
You put
finding
your finger
where the
in
hole
what?
is.
No, I'm just joking.
Oh, stop.
Sorry. Oh, come on.
Anyway, and this is kind of the major issue with chronic disease as a whole in modern medicine is this is our approach. We cover up symptoms, we ignore what's causing them in the first place, and we just keep charging people tons and tons of money for drugs that aren't fixing anything. No one's even looking for the cause.
Throw more medicine at it and you'll be fine. And remember, you're just going to have to live with it because that's how it is.
Yeah. So this
a $40 copay. Thank you.
Most of these chronic diseases, autoimmunity especially, is, something in the body is out of balance, right? And trying to correct an imbalance by further, throwing things out of balance. Who expects that to work?
Well, it's kind of like an
we're leaning
antibiotic.
this way, so we'll stack more weight on the other side.
It's like an antibiotic. You take that to fix something, but it literally throws things out of balance.
Well,
and then
there are real use cases for antibiotics.
Yes, but I'm just saying there's a good thing that everybody can kind of relate to is throwing things out of balance.
Right. Instead of asking, why is the body out of balance in the first place? If you just correct the issue, it's so much simpler.
What a novel idea. You should tell people about.
And coming from an engineering background, this just blows my mind to no end how we have this entire industry that their sole purpose is to solve problems. And in engineering and in business in general, when there's a problem, first question we ask, what's the root cause? And what are you doing to address it? Meanwhile, in medicine, no one cares what the root cause is. No one's even looking for it. I don't know that we would know what that phrase even means.
But
There's a big problem. What are we doing to cover it up?
we have to go back to the old faithful saying, I say it all the time. You can ask people at work, I say it. Healthy people do not make money.
Well, go down the conspiracy rabbit hole.
I love that.
All right, that brings us to break number 1. We will be back shortly. And welcome back to the Esoteric Wellness Podcast. Here on segment 2, we've been talking about autoimmunity.
And my mom.
And your mom to a great degree, probably more than she wants us to.
Well, you know what? That's what she gets for not listening. I'm going to talk crap about her. She doesn't even listen.
See how many episodes we can talk about your mom before she notices. Yeah, we were talking about what it is, kind of what causes it. It was all about inflammation. We went on a tangent on epigenetics. I did.
Yeah, you did.
That's all right. It was important.
Uh-huh.
And I'll harp on that a little more later. But
Great.
So now I want to get into kind of what's a sensible approach to autoimmunity. So first I'm going to go through like the functional medicine approach, which is more focused on external causes.
Should we explain what functional medicine is to folks?
I will, yes.
Because I had no idea what that was until you, well, frankly, got into it. So,
and then I'll get into later on kind of my preferred approach, which is more of a mind-body centered approach.
Great.
I
hear this stuff all day long.
It's so important.
We get into spats about it. And now I have to sit here and listen to it more. So
you're trapped. I'm going to go on and on and on about it.
I'm going to start demanding pay for this.
But first, functional medicine, what is it? So this is believe it or not, a root cause centered approach to medicine. Yeah.
So crazy.
It looks at the body as a kind of a system of interconnected subsystems. So you're looking at the body as a whole. Everything's
literally what it is.
Everything's connected, right?
It makes sense.
Right. So if you have a heart problem, we're not just going to talk to a cardiologist. We're going to look at the whole body.
I'm sorry. I just had to interject. In my mind, as soon as you said like all these interconnected systems, I immediately went to Rick and Morty and Anatomy Park, where they go in the body of the guy and go through all the different systems. If you know, you know.
Yeah, they're all connected, right?
So great.
And it's more of a focus on maintaining like proper balance in all these systems. So the first go-to approach is not drugs. Drugs have their place to get things back to where they need to be, but drugs are temporary, right? The ultimate goal is to get your body back in balance, back where it needs to be. And it's almost like a backwards approach to modern medicine, where their go-to is drugs, band-aids. Whereas you go to a functional medicine clinic, they're going to focus on diet, lifestyle, mental health.
I mean, those things that they slide in the very end of your appointment
Yes.
briefly. Change your diet and exercise. Okay.
Yeah. Functional medicine looks at those as the primary solution.
And people might have heard of integrative medicine. That's kind of
It's getting in that direction. Yeah.
So that's kind of your in between, like as far as functional and a traditional like provider. Just take it a little further, and that's where you get your functional medicine. Because I know integrative medicine is becoming much more popular with folks, which is great because it's a step in a really good direction. So
It's still pretty siloed with specialists, but there's somebody communicating with each one, which, yeah, is better than the alternative.
we're getting there. Slowly but surely, we're getting there.
So the functional medicine approach is really back to basics, diet and lifestyle.
But nobody wants that. They want, and listen, I will be the first to admit, everybody wants a quick fix now. And what does that? Give me a pill. It fixes it.
Well, comparatively, this is a much quicker fix than the pills that don't fix anything.
I mean, yeah, but as a lot of Americans, we want that instant gratification. And when you're given a pill, you think it's going to fix it. Me changing my lifestyle and my diet and actually working and exercise just does not sound appealing. I'm just saying. But what really works?
But honestly, through some pretty significant changes in diet and lifestyle, you can turn autoimmunity around completely.
Absolutely. Well, look at diabetes. You can do that with type 2 diabetes. You know, you start getting things in check and you can literally reverse it. That's proof right there.
Is it easy? No.
No.
Do you have to make changes? Yes. But if you don't change something about what you're doing, why would you expect a different outcome?
I'm just playing devil's advocate over here. I'm feeling
I know.
I'm feeling like an asshole tonight.
This isn't what people want to hear.
No, but people need to hear it.
Yes. So this approach is really focusing on what could be external causes of this overactivation of the immune system. And, you know, we'll start with diet. Diet absolutely can trigger this kind of immune system response.
And that's mine. My big trigger, I found out, was dietary issues.
So, you know, you want to incorporate like anti-inflammatory foods. So omega-3 fats is a big one.
Where can you find those? Fish,
lots of
eggs.
places. Fish, yeah. Cold water fatty fish, eggs, certain vegetables. Chia seeds is a great source.
Forgot about
nuts. And that's really more about the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6. Okay. Omega-6 fats are like your refined industrial seed oils.
God, we won't get you on that topic.
Anyway, omega-6s are much easier to find in our standard diet today. And you really want at least a 1-to-1 ratio, if not more omega-3 than omega-6. And I'm not going to get into the chemistry of why that is, but
we already had that lesson today, right? One chemistry lesson per episode, please.
I'm not even fully sure how to explain it because it's complex, but omega-3s are an anti-inflammatory fat. You know, the way they break down in the body, they don't lead to toxic byproducts that can cause inflammation. Omega-6 is the opposite. When it breaks down in the body, how the body does that through the chemistry that happens, it creates byproducts that the body doesn't use that can cause inflammation. They activate the immune system. Okay. So that's a big one. Red and purple berries, dark leafy greens, sweet potatoes, nuts, turmeric, ginger, rosemary, great herbs and spices there that
turmeric's a big one.
Yeah.
All of my
it's a pretty powerful one.
All of my weirdo dirty hippie friends know that some turmeric's good for you. So
Glutathione is another
Bless
food,
you.
which it is a compound found primarily in animal meats. Um, so much higher in like organ meats,
Ew.
say a steak, which is relatively low in glutathione. So the collagen rich animal parts.
And now, how do you feel about like powdered or liquid collagen, adding that to like a drink?
I don't know about the powdered collagen. I don't know how it's been processed.
Okay. Because I know a lot of, and I've stated before, I work in a hair salon. So, of course, we're all
Because
swapping
yeah,
beauty stories, and collagen
collagen
is
is
a
great.
big one that a lot of women are taking. And it's something I've actually been tossing around.
Bone broth, things like
Mhm.
that are really great for
Oh, no, they sell like little packets and
right.
liquid stuff you can just like throw in your coffee in the morning, and there you go. So,
I would
really,
just have I don't know. I would have to look into a powdered collagen, how it's been processed. Is it
I'll look into
broken
that.
down?
I had a client that swears she
Yeah.
feels like she has more energy. She said her joints feel better, which right there, there's your
Yeah, it
collagen for
would
your
make your
joints.
joints feel better.
Yep.
Um, Polyphenol rich fruits and vegetables. So color,
Bright things.
bright, dark reds, blues. Those are going to be higher in your polyphenols.
Oh, like your antioxidant stuff?
Same idea. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Selenium rich foods like nuts and fish. Um, so those are all great anti-inflammatory foods that are going to cut down on any inflammation that's there.
Sounds like a lot of whole foods, healthy foods.
Oh, imagine that.
What? McDonald's ain't gonna give me what I need.
McDonald's is not on this list. No.
I want a Coke.
That's not on the list either.
Fine.
So you want to, it might be on this list.
Ah.
What we want to eliminate
Oh, damn it.
inflammatory food.
Okay.
So your omega-6 fats. So your industrial seed oils.
And what is that, real quick? Just to, I think
Industrial
we've maybe covered it.
are,
Please keep this to guys. Seriously,
I'm going to go on a rant.
he will go on about this for so long. Courtney, if you wanted to hear that whole getting Kyle talking, bring up, vegetable oil.
Industrial seed oils are the worst. Okay. Not because there's the most inflammatory food,
I wish you people could see his hands right now.
but because they are in everything, literally everything. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And we've gone through this at the
Yes,
store.
we have. I will be standing in the aisle for 15 freaking minutes while you read through all the labels and bitch about the crap that's in it. Because the number 2 is soybean and or vegetable oil.
So industrial seed oils are oils from seeds or vegetables. Okay. That, are not going to be found in nature in that form. So your common ones, canola, vegetable,
Soybean,
soybean,
grapeseed,
rapeseed, safflower,
cotton
sunflower,
seed.
cottonseed. I'm probably missing.
Would it be easier to say anything that's not what? Coconut, avocado,
Yeah. So
or olive oil?
oils that are not included in this are, yeah, avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, like ghee or clarified butter.
Ghee, yeah, ghee.
Any animal fat would not be.
It's easier to take the route of what's not.
So they're
What
called
is?
industrial seed oils because they were originally used for industrial purposes as industrial lubricants.
Ew.
I think cottonseed oil was the first majorly used one. And then somebody at is it Procter and Gamble?
Probably.
So Crisco. It's the first hydrogenated industrial seed oil used for food.
My grandma, I always had a canister of that on the back of the stove, right at the top, always.
So that was kind of the first dive into using these for food. And it was something that was, considered an industrial waste before that.
But by God, it made good fried chicken, didn't it?
We can just change this up a little bit and sell it to people and they're cooking it.
Welcome to America.
But anyway, these oils, they are terrible. They are so inflammatory because they oxidize so quickly and so easily.
Mm-hmm.
And to keep them from oxidizing, They add detergents, they add antioxidants to these things, which are
Detergents, like the shit I wash my clothes in.
pretty nasty on their own. And when you cook with these oils, they break down, they oxidize. And these oxidized byproducts of these fats are they're toxic and they cause inflammation. They activate your immune system. And when pretty much everything you can buy on a store shelf contains these oils, well, it's pretty hard to avoid. And because they're cheap. So I challenge you to pick up any processed packaged food, and you're probably going to see one of these.
It's really hard to find ones that don't because believe me, I think I've been through every damn box on every shelf with you and found maybe 3 things that don't have it. So,
Yeah. And these are the same fats that were marketed to us, in the 80s and 90s as heart healthy. Heart healthy alternatives to animal fats, saturated fats,
yes.
which were the devil. And we now know that that was all based off one scientific study that was basically forged.
Don't we love how that's the thing with every single thing? It was one scientific study
Yeah.
that was wrong. Like, with vitamins and autism and, the food pyramid and everything else. We'll get into those later. That should be an episode. Scientists who fudged it up for their own benefit. Anyway.
Yeah. So antioxidant additives like BHA, BHT, TBHQ, which sound very similar to things in plastics like BPA, because they are. Endocrine disrupting, carcinogenic, immune disrupting effects.
So I'm getting like hormone driven cancers. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Women, ladies.
So when they
take note.
oxidize, they generate trans fats, which we all know are bad. For the same reasons. Lipid peroxides, which damage your DNA, your proteins, and your membrane lipids, so they damage your cells.
Is that like free radicals? Don't those do like that? Damage your cell?
Same idea.
Yeah.
When you repeatedly heat them, like is a deep fryer, the amounts of these toxic products skyrockets.
So my Crisco and fried chicken is out.
So that burnt oil smell,
yeah,
that's what you're smelling.
Ew.
Is the trans fats.
Ew.
Yeah.
So trans fat actually has a taste. Okay. So that's like when they always tell you not to drink out of your water bottles that have been in the car because they get hot and release shit.
Yeah.
The BPA, it's literally the same thing.
Same thing.
But yet they warn us not to drink that water, but they sell this on the shelves.
Yeah, that's in a plastic bottle too, by the way.
The irony is not lost on me right now. Good God.
Anyway, that's enough about oils. Other inflammatory foods, refined grains.
Yep.
Primarily because of gluten.
Yep.
Now I know there's still a lot of controversy about gluten sensitivity, and I think most people are somewhat sensitive to gluten.
Sure.
Now you may tolerate gluten just fine, and I have problems from eating a sandwich with bread, and that's fine. But for a lot of people, we eat so much of this stuff that it can cause chronic inflammation.
So it reminds me of, we see contact dermatitis in the salon. You're exposed to something so frequently, so often, you end up getting an allergy from it.
Hypersensitivity, yeah.
Yeah. It's like the same thing. Like, you eat it and you eat it. And here's my little input. I can do some grains, I can do some bread, like I can have whatever, but as you've always said, it's like a bucket. I can put a little bit in and a little bit in, but once it overflows, if I have too much grain and dairy and this and that, I'm going to be miserable, and I know it. And you learn your limits. So yeah, a sandwich is okay, but if I do that and then I do the pizza or I do this or I do that, and the whatever on top of it, it's just going to get real quick.
Yeah, our bodies are amazingly resilient. Our immune systems are amazing. They're designed to handle these things. But when you're constantly putting it in your body, eventually it's going to lose.
Taps out.
Yeah.
Needs a break.
What else we got? Nightshades is a common one.
Mm.
They can cause inflammation for people. These
So,
are things like sweet and hot peppers, tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, tomatillos, pepinos, pimentos, and paprika. Um, Eggs is another one, both the yolk and the whites for some people. It's not as common, but it does affect some folks. And then dairy, like you mentioned,
ugh,
is a big one.
it is like the death of me.
Yeah. We're not all Northern European white folks that can tolerate this stuff,
No,
such as
no.
myself.
Exactly, exactly. The extremely white folk over there, they're fine. Meanwhile, oh God, the lovely massage gal at work brought me an iced coffee the other day and she made sure to tell me it had almond milk in it. God bless you. Yeah. Dairy can wreak some havoc too. Maybe small amounts, but oof, we overdo it. It's gonna be a rough day.
So yeah, you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said it sounds like a whole foods
It is
diet, because it is. Because all these inflammatory foods I mentioned that you want to avoid, where do you find those? Processed food.
minus dairy. Yeah, and it is. I mean, and I've always heard, I remember being in school and them saying, when you grocery shop, if you can stick to the outer edges of the store, which is going to be your things that are in cold cases. So produce and, meats, whole foods and things, not boxed crap in the middle. But it's so good.
Mm-hmm. I think the convenience is the big thing for most people
And we've
nowadays.
we've discussed that
That's
before.
what's hard to get away from.
Look at the lives we live, both parents have to work, sometimes two jobs. The kids are in every freaking activity we can shove them in. We've got everything to keep on, and sometimes you're getting the banquet TV dinner tonight there, Timmy. That's all it is. With oils and all.
Yeah. So some other things we would focus on from a functional medicine perspective is gut health is a big one.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times this inflammation starts in the gut because that's a big part of our immune system,
Mhm.
the gut.
Well, there's a lot of receptors in the gut.
And a lot of this inflammation can be caused from like your gut microbiome imbalances and things like that. And then that allows these toxic compounds to get through the gut barrier
Barrier.
into the bloodstream, and then wherever that ends up in the body can cause further damage. Exercise.
Boo.
Yeah.
Who has time for that?
Exercise has so many health benefits to it. I
Not
mean,
only
don't get me
the
started.
endorphins.
Well, yeah, but it just, you know, as far as flushing out these toxins from the body, the lymphatic system is what's flushing out kind of what's left over from the blood. So your blood comes to the capillaries and it kind of squeezes out of those into the tissues, and then some of it goes back into the capillaries and then back into the bloodstream, but the lymph is what's left, and that gets filtered into the lymphatic system, which gets filtered out. um,
Listen, I run daily. I
so
run my mouth.
that system gets circulated by moving your muscles. So like exercise can help reduce some of these toxin buildup,
I've heard
flush
dry
them out
brushing is
fast.
good too, though.
What
It's called dry brushing. You have like
the hell is
a,
that?
what the hell is that? Here, I'm going to educate you for a minute. There's a few different things in the beauty industry that they say helps with this. So it's literally dry brushing. So you get a brush that has like a, maybe not a boar bristle, but a stiffer bristle brush. And you literally brush in like a circular pattern down through the body to flush out, um, they say like your lymph system, like
Makes sense.
yeah. So you're doing this dry brushing to stimulate the skin, which helps with cell turnover and things like that. Because, you know, resting bitch face isn't the only thing that's going to help keep the wrinkles away. So you have that. You have, exfoliation. Plus, then it helps with your circulatory. So, and they have this little thing. It's like Gusha Awa or so. I know I totally butchered that, and that is not what it is. I don't even know what the hell how you say it. I'm sure a lot of these beauty women are cringing right now, but it's a little tool that you use on your face. Same idea to help flush out, your lymphatic and swelling. And because we ain't really concerned about our inner health, we're more concerned about how we look out here. Just saying.
Well, take care of the inside. The outside looks better.
I'll drink more water. God.
So yeah, exercise is helpful with pretty much everything. I don't know why doctors aren't prescribing exercise.
Just say it with me. Healthy people don't make money.
Okay.
That's going to be my tagline just from now on for the rest of this thing. Healthy people don't make money.
Yes.
Thank you.
Deep relaxation.
Who does that?
So turning off your sympathetic nervous system, getting out of fight or flight. Yeah. Turns off your immune system, calms things down, lets your body heal damage that's been caused. So deep relaxation like meditation, anything that's relaxing, just sitting in stillness and reading a book, whatever it is for you, but can certainly help. And we'll talk much more about that coming up. But what's another one? Sleep. We all need sleep.
See, you're naming off all these things that we just ain't got time for. Relaxing,
Well,
sleeping,
maybe it's because we don't have
exercising.
time for these, is why we're all suffering from chronic disease. Like
I'm feeling really
autoimmunity.
targeted over here by your little list. I'm just saying, it's starting to get real annoying.
It's almost done.
Okay.
And then you can add in supplements like fish oil, which is omega-3s essentially.
You like your fish oils.
Vitamin C, vitamin D, and probiotics for gut health.
Isn't there a way you have to take vitamin D though? For absorption? Oh, that's iron. I'm thinking iron. Never mind. You have to take iron with some fat.
Vitamin
to
D,
absorb.
you can actually just go outside and get that for free too.
I do like that. Wear your sunscreen though, a little bit. A little bit of sunscreen.
No, if you put sunscreen on, you won't make vitamin D.
But sun makes wrinkles.
See, it's like anything else. It's in moderation.
Moderation. This is true.
So it depends on the fairness of your skin.
So just go outside, do some light grounding, take in a little bit of the sun, then come back and put sunscreen on.
And dirt's a good source of probiotics too.
Just gonna eat the dirt too.
No, it gets on your skin.
Oh, okay.
There's a microbiome on your skin too.
Yeah, I know. You make everything sound gross.
A third of your body weight is not you.
I like that. Keep going with that one. Keep going with that one. I like that. All right.
The
It's just all the
microbiome
bugs on me.
on your skin and in
Mhm.
your gut. Yeah, it's like a third of your body weight.
See, I'm not like chunky. I just got a really good microbiome going on.
Got a super big bone
Microbiome. That's it. I'm keeping that one.
Okay, you use that.
I will, damn it. It's my story.
Now, there may be instances where further help is needed. So hidden infections can be a cause of autoimmunity, yeast infections, viral infections, bacterial, things like chronic Lyme disease.
Well, we do live in the Midwest and we got a lot of deer, so.
So you may want to be checked for something like that if, a change in diet doesn't really do anything for you. Hidden food allergies beyond what we listed can also cause the same kind of thing. And then heavy metal toxicity. So if you're being exposed to some toxic heavy metal from, we were talking the other
I
day.
was literally, that was going through my head.
You used to live behind that one factory.
My childhood home, my literal backyard for my childhood home is being dug up by the EPA right now because it has been, oh God, it's a toxic waste dump. So yeah, that's what I said. That's the reason for all my problems. Yeah, it's because I grew up in the Oblongs backyard. If you guys know what that show is, if you don't, look up the Oblongs. It's the best. That's my life.
So yeah, that's basically the approach that would be taken by functional medicine.
You mean common sense?
Yeah, back to basics.
Well, shit, look at that.
What are you putting in your body? What are you doing to your body?
horrible things and horrible things.
Well, you get horrible results then.
Listen,
It's quite simple.
again, I'm feeling very targeted in this episode. I see I'm taking the hit for all you guys listening. Um, because let's be honest, we all got a little bit of problems going on out there.
And yeah, this is why people don't want to hear it, because this is why the story that, oh, it's just genetics, I'm doomed to have this, is easier to swallow because you have no responsibility in that.
I will admit, you and I have had many a long conversation since you got into this line about myself and my autoimmunity issues and my health issues and things like that. And it's not been easy. There have been tears and arguments, and it is a lot. It's more of the mental aspect is harder to deal with than it is the physical part of it.
Yeah, that's where we're going next. But
Hey, I made a good segue, didn't I?
it is, though, as we've mentioned, I think way back in episode 1, that, you know, it's hard to be healthy in this day and age. If you
Yeah,
just go with the flow, this is the kind of thing that leads to.
it is.
You really got to step outside of what's normal and work pretty hard at staying healthy long term.
And you have to really advocate for yourself if you do end up choosing to go see someone about your problems. They don't necessarily want to run the tests that you may think is necessary. I have my good friend, Lauren fought for 3 years to get what she needed ran and to have done. And then when the test finally did come back, confirming her suspicions, the doctor's like, okay, well, then what? So she literally had to fire her doctor and then go find another one that would take this seriously. You have to advocate so hard for yourself when you figure out that you need to do some changes. So don't be afraid to be that squeaky wheel, piss some people off, keep hounding at them if something is not right.
All right. And that brings us to our second break. And we'll be back in a few.
All right, we're back after our first half of recording. We had to take a brief intermission and feed the zoo. So here we are.
Everyone's fed and happy at this point. So
we hope so, because we still have another half of this to finish.
So where were we?
You were making me feel bad.
Don't think that was my intention.
Well, the shoe fit.
Yeah, I think we were talking about autoimmunity. We had just gone through kind of the functional medicine approach to addressing that. And now I want to get into, my approach.
Boy.
Oh boy. Not really my approach. It's not like it's something I came up with.
I say, when did you become a doctor?
I'm not. But what I mean is looking more at mind body. What role does the mind play in autoimmunity and a lot of other things? And what might we do to help address autoimmunity when it comes to the mind and mental health and that kind of thing? Because it really does play a pretty big role a lot of the time.
I'm learning this.
What does that mean? That was laced with all kinds of spite.
You know what? You just take it how you will.
So much of the work I'm doing now in coaching is around chronic pain and mind body syndrome. And yeah, I talk about this stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm. Continue.
Yeah. It's challenging her perspective on things, and she doesn't like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna sit here. It's fine. It's fine.
Feel free to pipe in.
I will. Don't worry.
So the fact is, autoimmunity is almost always, at least to some extent, exacerbated by mental health. And sometimes it's completely caused by it. We talked a lot about external causes of inflammation being in the diet, lifestyle, that kind of thing. Well, the mind, our own brain, can be a source of inflammation as well. So I was talking earlier about epigenetics and how the chemistry of our blood affects, expression of our DNA, what parts of that get turned into instructions. And when we think about thoughts, emotions, all those cause chemistry in the body, right? We feel a certain emotion. The brain's releasing chemistry into the blood. It's activating our hormones, our endocrine system, our
like fight, flight.
Nervous system is responding, releasing further things into the blood. All this has a chemical effect in the blood. So it's determining what's in the blood, what's interacting with other cells, what's interacting with those chromosomes. Okay. So our thoughts and emotions have a big role to play in what determines our epigenetic expression. So, and obviously this mind-body connection is a two-way street, right? What goes on in the physical body from external influences also affects our mental health. Changes in the gut microbiome, for example, can affect our mood.
Mm-hmm.
Our mood can affect our gut microbiome. So it's this very circular system where what happens in one affects the other.
Grain rage. That's a big one. You eat grains, you get angry.
Sometimes.
It's a thing.
And there's this thing, so there's a doctor named Will Cole, which is a functional medicine doctor. He's coined the term shameflammation. So this is inflammation caused by our thoughts and our emotions. And it's not always, but sometimes tied with emotion of shame or thoughts around shame or guilt or negative thoughts and emotions, essentially.
So I'm upsetting myself like puffy? Like,
no, that's the other kind of inflammation. We're not talking about that.
Oh, yeah, not puffy.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm upsetting myself inflammatory in a way.
Well, let's break that down.
Okay.
So again, this type of inflammation is activation of the immune system, right? So when we have negative thoughts and emotions, what typically happens to our nervous
Like I say, like me personally,
to our nervous system?
Upset. Well, fight, flight.
Right. It activates the stress response, the sympathetic nervous system, which is a sign of a threat or danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, the immune system gets activated. So the body starts sending all these immune cells and compounds into the bloodstream.
This day and age is a really stupid design.
No, it's not.
Because when I get upset when my bangs aren't doing what I want, then all of a sudden my joints hurt.
Well, you got to remember what kind of environment this evolved out of.
I said this day and age. I know. I'm not getting chased down by.
So when you're living a hunter-gatherer lifestyle.
No.
Let's just pretend we are.
Okay, because that's about as far as you're going to get.
We spend our days obtaining food, storing food, processing food, essentially. Working on
trying
shelter.
To survive.
Yeah, surviving. During an average day of that lifestyle, what are you stressed about?
Getting killed or starving to death.
Right. Very real threats to your survival. You're not getting stupid emails from your boss. You're not seeing the social media posts from your so-called friends.
Ouch.
You're not turning on the news and looking at the problems of the entire world at the same time. Okay. Those people spent a relatively small amount of time compared to today in that stress response. Okay. It was when they were hunting or when some serious shit was going down or the neighboring tribe was attacking, when it really mattered, when the changes that stress response brings about were actually helpful.
How did we go from living this hunter-gatherer lifestyle where we were fighting other tribes and large animals to now I'm stressed out about this stupid email? We've become very soft.
Civilization has its perks, but it also has its issues.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So again, in that environment, activation of the immune system makes sense.
Sure.
If I'm in my fight or flight response because something's attacking me, I need to run. I might get cut and scraped up, or maybe actually attacked, and I'm going to have wounds and damage to my body. Well, I need my immune system activated. But today, when we're stressed out about things that aren't actually harming us, activating the immune system, and when we're in that mode all the time chronically, whammo, chronic inflammation.
My life makes so much more sense now, especially when I'm driving or in public.
So, and it's not just tied to stress. And that's a big aspect for a lot of people, but you know, they've also shown that just chronically negative emotions like anger, sadness, grief, guilt, shame
Again, my life makes so
can
much more
also
sense
cause inflammation. That can also activate the immune system. And, they've shown that like your gut microbiome can show measurable changes in it.
Do we need to explain to people like in a basic way what that is
The gut
exactly?
microbiome?
Yes, I feel like we keep using that word, but people might not
I
know.
guess we didn't ever
No, we
explain it.
didn't. See, this is why I'm here. I'm
Making
here to help
assumptions.
you people.
Making assumptions.
You know what they say when you make assumptions.
So the gut microbiome is so your gut is full of bacteria and other organisms that are microscopic. That's why it's called micro. And
Little.
these microorganisms play a key role in digestion. They play a key role in a lot of different processes in the body. Actually, they actually create a lot of our neurotransmitters, hormones, a lot of other key essential kind of chemical compounds are made by these microorganisms in our gut. And they're actually finding more and more and more that having the right balance of these microbes is critical to our health. And they're connecting an imbalance to a lot of diseases now. It's still kind of unsure in a lot of cases what's causing what. Is the microbiome imbalance causing the disease, or is the disease causing the imbalance?
Chicken or the egg?
I think there's like I kind of mentioned before, it's kind of circular in nature. One causes one that affects the other, then it goes back and forth. And your microbiome is also on the outside of our body, on our skin. There's microbes on every surface of our body.
So gross.
Yeah, it's kind of gross to think about, but they play key roles, again, like our immune system, the microbiome on our skin. It's the first line of defense against bacteria and viruses that we don't want. So that's what the microbiome is.
Okay. Now that we're done making asses of ourselves,
Yes,
we're assuming.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
So, like I was saying, a change in our mood can be measured in our microbiome within minutes.
Stress shitting.
It's a prime extreme example.
Yes, it
you
is.
get stressed out.
Yes, it is.
Your body is like, that's your immune system. It's like something's in the gut that we don't like. Let's just flush it all.
Well, my immune system's a dick.
Let's flush it all. Good and bad. Just, that's kind of a friendly fire thing.
That is like the most extreme, ridiculous. Like, I'm upset. We're just going to just burn it all down. Get rid of all of it.
Yeah.
It's a real asshole move.
An interesting factoid I learned. So the appendix,
Mm-hmm.
so this little thing off the end of our intestine that
Mm-hmm.
many people say is useless. It's a remnant of our evolutionary past that has no purpose anymore. They've actually shown that that serves a very important purpose of preserving our microbiome when we have like diarrhea, something that we cleared our intestines of all the microbes, good and bad.
Good and bad.
So that's like a little Noah's Ark there where our microbiome survives that and it can repopulate our gut. So
That's
I find that to be quite interesting.
so it makes you wonder, like, what other little things do we think are not, important that they say that we, don't need, but we do?
Yeah.
We've got spare parts. What are they for? Don't be
Probably
getting
for
rid of
something.
shit.
So the gut microbiome must be pretty damn important if we have a built-in Noah's Ark for it.
Regenerator.
Shit goes wrong.
What's that? What's that place where they've taken like seeds, like a seed of every kind, and they've stored it for like when the world ends
Seed
or
bank.
something? The seed bank, yeah. So that's our bacteria for your guts bank. Ew.
Yeah, and these changes in the gut due to mood make sense because there's our enteric nervous system is in the gut. So we have like the second brain in our gut. There's like 2 to 600 million neurons in our gut.
Yeah, there's serotonin receptors in it.
That's more neurons than a lot of animals have in their brain.
So my gut's smarter than most animals.
Yeah. So you hear sayings like gut feelings, and I just feel it in my gut. I went with my gut. There's probably a lot of truth to that. You are feeling it in your gut.
That's kind of cool to think about. Yeah.
So yeah, changes in our mood, our thoughts.
Medication can affect that too. I can personally attest to when I first started an SSRI, because it's selective serotonin, re-up inhibitor. You have serotonin receptors in your gut, like you do in your brain. That's that
The
medication
gut produces most of the serotonin we use too.
Yeah, well, guess who wasn't made aware of that when they were prescribed this medication and was sick as hell?
That was in all those papers from the pharmacy you didn't read.
Again, I'm starting to feel real attacked in this podcast anymore.
Those
I'm
long
done.
things nobody reads.
But when that is a huge ass side effect that I wasn't, maybe I should have read the stupid paperwork. Yeah, that's on me. But I feel like maybe that's a conversation, a quick little snippet they should throw at you. By the way, you have all this shit in your gut that's also in your brain, and you could be sick as hell. Like I was so nauseated for, oh my God, probably a good 2 weeks at least. And now not everybody has that. But oh my God, I almost stopped taking the medication because my side effects were so bad from that. And I was blown away when I learned that all this shit's in your gut. Okay, cool. A lot of Zofran later, but whatever.
Things they fail to mention. So you distracted me. Where was I going?
I don't know. I'm just here for the ride.
So this is something, I spent a lot of time on in my clients with chronic pain or mind body syndrome. And not surprisingly, a lot of those clients also have some form of autoimmunity. It's extremely common. So we spent a lot of time on getting the nervous system back under control. Okay. Because, we're all very good at getting stressed out.
Oh,
that's easy.
I'm an expert.
But we're not very good at calming things back down.
I'm working on that part.
Yeah. So, and even when we're in this heightened state, fight or flight all the time, it's like our baseline isn't nearly as relaxed as it could be. So I spent a lot of time working with people on how to calm down the nervous system, how to get that baseline much lower, and how to build a good stress tolerance. So it's like any other skill, any other muscle you're exercising. It's like going to extreme levels of stress and then back to extreme levels of relaxation. The more you can do that, kind of on demand, the more tolerant you are to stress. So you can handle a much higher amount of stress and quickly bring it back under control, um, as needed. Because stress is helpful. It's there to help us when we need it. But it's like, okay, I no longer need it. Let's turn it back off. And that's the part that a lot of people really are not good at. They don't understand what's going on, first of all, and they don't understand kind of the methods that can be used to do that. So stress is a big part of this. And, we commonly see like certain personality traits, like a lot of perfectionism, toxic productivity. People are really hard on themselves, really critical of themselves.
Here we go again.
Am I just describing you over there?
Parts.
A lot of times we see unresolved past trauma and things like that that definitely condition the nervous system to be more on high alert. And there's this interesting kind of perspective where, autoimmunity is the immune system attacking our own bodies. And in parallel, when we mentally kind of lose our sense of self, it's like our immune system is reflecting that loss of sense of self and no longer sure where we end and where external things begin.
She was getting deep.
It's like this as above, so below idea that almost always holds true to some degree. So how can this shameflammation kind of sabotage our health? In what ways? So it affects the gut-brain endocrine axis. So this is, again, very much tied to stress, your hormones. A lot of those systems get out of whack, out of regulation, that kind of stuff. Blood sugar imbalances, metabolic issues. This is like what I was talking about earlier, how it exacerbates like diabetes, for example. It certainly doesn't help. Thyroid problems is another common one.
Oh yeah, I got that too. I forgot.
Yeah.
I
Anxiety.
knew there was something in there. I'm like, 2 things, that's it. Nope, there's got to be something
I'm
else.
not done yet.
Oh shit.
Anxiety,
Oh, that too.
insomnia,
Yep.
hunger and cravings. So we're much more likely to eat things we know we shouldn't when we're stressed out. Imagine that. It also affects like our ability to detoxify the body, process toxins, get them out of the body. So that stuff can kind of build up when we're always in this fight or flight mode because a lot of these secondary processes are turned off.
Is that where you're gonna worry yourself sick comes from? You're all stressed out and you're gonna.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Because secondary processes like healing, detoxification, those are turned off when we're in that stress response because it doesn't matter if we heal something, if we don't get away from this danger, it doesn't matter anyway. That's the way your body's looking at it. So all these things of secondary importance that we don't need in the moment that we're dealing with some danger, some threat, we divert energy away from that. So how do we address this?
Carefully.
Carefully.
Or you might freak them out and they might start shitting. I don't know.
Yeah. I think so. I talked a lot about diet like earlier, and a lot of people are probably reacting to something like that. It's, oh my God, that sounds awful.
Yeah. Did it.
So the elimination diet that
Oh
we
my
did
God.
was stressful, right?
That's putting it mildly for the both of us, because let's be honest, I was a treat. for those 30 days. Wasn't I, honey?
So much so.
Hey, this was your idea. Just you brought that on yourself.
So if this mental aspect is a big deal for someone, I don't think making drastic changes to the diet overnight is a good approach.
Then why did you do that to me?
Lessons learned.
I'm the guinea pig in this. He does this shit to me first, learns about it, and then comes back and tells you the better way to do it. So I feel like I should get some serious appreciation here. Just saying. Thumbs up. I get a thumbs up from him. Okay.
I appreciate you.
Mhm.
So yeah, we don't want to add more stress where stress is already the problem. So we want to focus on where can we make the most impact with the least amount of restriction. So we could focus, instead of cutting things out, we could focus on adding things in, adding in anti-inflammatory foods rather than focus on what's everything we need to get rid of. Or we get instead focus on like the top one thing to get rid of rather than all of it. And this is going to be different for everyone, what they can handle, depending on, you know, the kinds of changes that they need to make and where they're starting from and that kind of stuff. But focusing more on, you know, is the way I'm eating and living making me happy? Am I even enjoying the food I eat rather than a long list of things I can't.
Again, it's the mental way of looking at things. It's really tough.
Yeah. Because, you know, if you have someone with autoimmunity who is primarily causing it through this mental process, and you make all these drastic changes to the diet to the letter, chances are you're not going to see much benefit because stress is the problem and you just added more on top of it. Chances are their symptoms might even get worse.
Hindsight's always 2020. I'm just
What do you got to say over there?
nothing. Just elimination diet's all I can think of.
Yeah, and probably wasn't the best approach for Megan.
You know what though? You know what though? I did lose weight and my body felt great, but my God, was I miserable.
We learned some important stuff through that process.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. But my mental state was not great with that. Physically, I felt a hell of a lot better, but yeah, no.
Yeah. I mean, from your perspective, how stressful was that?
Oh my God. I I probably didn't have the best mindset going into it because like you said, it's well, I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I can't. It was the I can't, and it was the limitation and the feeling. It was all very negative in that sense. Like I said, did I see results and was that great? Yeah, it was until the day I hit sour cream and I about died. But it was extremely stressful. I mean, I literally sat in the car in the parking lot with you at the grocery store and cried because of dealing with this stuff. Like it was awful. But like I said, on the flip side, I had not felt so physically good and I can't tell you how long.
Yeah.
But it was mentally it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, that's, you know, just the name of it, elimination.
Yeah.
It's all about restriction, taking
Well,
out.
and it's you do it to find out
Right,
what
it
you
has a
can and can't
purpose.
tolerate. It truly does have a purpose. And I did find out some really great things, but my God, it was so emotionally and mentally just exhausting and stressful and straining and ugh.
Yeah, but I have learned that focusing on the mental aspect, the mental health aspect first, getting to a place where the stress isn't as big of a deal. And then if you still have symptoms, then yeah, that's the time to start looking at the diet, start making changes. But you're now able to handle some additional stress
Yeah.
much better. And it'll be more clear at that point too, like what's coming from my stress and what's coming from my diet. I mean, you can do that either direction. I mean, if you started diet, you would know if I still have symptoms, it's from stress, but the diet change can add more stress.
Mm-hmm.
So I think starting it with this mind body approach, it makes a lot more sense. It's a lot more helpful for people. It's easier. Not that addressing the mental health aspect is easy by any means, but um and two, I think once people are in that better place, some of the other changes kind of just fall into place a little more naturally. So when you
Yeah.
start looking at poor diet, for example, a lot of that might stem from just not feeling good about themselves or life in general. Um, a lot of people reach to food for comfort because they're stressed out. And it affects our microbiome that, makes us have cravings and things like that. That's why a lot of people have sugar cravings, is because it actually calms down the nervous system temporarily.
It's another Band-Aid.
Yeah. So this is a natural craving to have when you're stressed out. So it's like you address that aspect first, and then all these other things are much easier.
So we're saying is mental health is very important.
I think we've been saying that all along.
Just reiterating. It's fine. Anyway.
That brings us to our last break, and we will be back in a few. See you soon.
Bye.
All right, welcome back to the Esoteric Wellness Podcast, to our last and final segment of this episode, talking about autoimmunity and the mind-body aspect of that. So now I want to get into, so we kind of laid out how the mind has a role to play, but what the hell do you do about that? How do you address that? Just think happy thoughts?
A little bit of pixie dust.
If it were only that easy. So I think we talked a lot about stress, and I think that's a key aspect of it. It's like getting that nervous system to a place where it's better regulated. We're not in fight or flight all the time. So how do you do that? Well, there's, traditional methods like meditation, yoga, things like this that can help maintain that more relaxed baseline. But in the moment when you're stressed out or shit's hitting the fan, you can't really hang on. I need to go meditate.
Just take a break.
Yeah. Time out. I need to go meditate for an hour. I'll come back.
God, I wish.
I mean, that would be great if we could do that, but that's just not reality for most of us. But things like that do help because, they do allow us opportunities for kind of more deeper, extreme relaxation. And that's important to do regularly to get to that point of relaxation. But what the hell do you do in the moment when you're at work? Everything's going wrong. You're stressed out. The kids are screaming. Whatever it is that stresses you out, what do you do in the moment?
Stabbing my client's not an option, right?
I mean, that might feel good, but it's going to add a whole lot of stress into your life after the fact.
Just making sure what I got here.
Yeah. kind of the most powerful things I know of and I teach to a lot of people is like quick breathing techniques. There's a technique called the physiological sigh, which is very easy to do and very effective and quick. And it acts quickly. And you don't look absolutely bonkers doing it. Because there are other methods out there, but you look ridiculous.
Good to know. I might have to whip one of those out at work and see what they think.
So yeah, the physiological sigh is very simple. It's a kind of a deep breath in through the nose, pause for a second, breathe in a little more. So it's this double breath in, and then a slow exhale out through the mouth. So
Sounds Lamaze-ish.
kind of. um, but what this does, it's very interesting the way it works. Um, so anytime you breathe in a way that emphasizes or spends more time on the exhale than the inhale, can slow down your heart rate, turn on the parasympathetic nervous system in a state of relaxation. And it does this because, okay, so when you're breathing out, your diaphragm's moving up, right? And it's actually decreasing the space in your chest cavity. You with me?
Yes.
I know it's kind of hard to visualize, but so it's actually increasing the pressure in your chest cavity. Okay, so which causes your heart to shrink slightly, right? So there's this bundle of neurons in your heart, which I cannot remember the name of. Something ganglia. Anyway, these bundle of neurons, its job is to monitor the rate of flow of blood through the heart. So the heart shrinks slightly. You're moving the same volume of blood, so it has to speed up. So it's seeing an increase in blood flow. And what that does, it sends a message to the brainstem and activates your parasympathetic nervous system. And it's saying, slow down the heart rate. Because it wants to maintain, normally a constant rate of flow. Okay. Unless we're, in a heightened state or we're exercising or something like that. So breathing in this way sends an instant message to the brain to slow down the heart rate and activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So within a matter of seconds, you can calm yourself down quite a bit by doing, one of these breaths or two or three or four in a row.
Breathing.
Okay. In different ways. But when you notice when you're stressed out how you typically breathe, you breathe shallower.
Mm-hmm. Rapid breathing.
You're spending more time inhaling than exhaling. So you're getting yourself more worked out in a sense. So just like getting in the habit of noticing, oh, I'm feeling really stressed. This is getting me worked up. Do that quick double in, slow exhale. Can kind of interrupt that in the moment before you get to a very heightened state of stress.
Noted.
You've
made me do that before.
Yeah, it's super easy. Some other things you can do. Yawning is an interesting one.
I probably do that too much.
Most people can make themselves yawn. Yawning, again, stimulates the vagus nerve, which sends signals to the brain to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. I just mentioned it. You're already yawning.
Well, it's also getting late too.
Something called the Valsalva maneuver. So bearing down like you're trying to poop. Again, the same idea. It's increasing the pressure in your chest cavity.
Yeah, it brings your heart rate down.
Through the same process. You might look a little more ridiculous doing this. But you can think like when someone's really super angry, sometimes they naturally do this without even thinking about it.
Yeah, I guess you can see
kind of clench,
small kids.
Clench all their muscles, tighten up. It's a natural calming mechanism. Same thing with a double breath in, slow exhale when you're crying. Like when, babies are crying they've
Oh,
been
they
crying
do.
for a while. Yeah, they do
Yeah.
that double breath in
Ah,
kind of naturally.
look at that.
What else? Getting upside down is another one.
Yeah, that's
That's a little harder to do.
yep.
But another one we kind of naturally do when people are like sitting down crying. A lot of
Put their
times
head
they'll
down
put their head down between their
between the knee.
legs,
Yep.
you know,
Okay.
to calm themselves down.
So if you hear anything strange, the neighbor is dumping his recycling out. So
Sounds like something crashing down the
yeah.
stairs.
So if you hear anything strange, it is recycling day. And congratulations to our neighbor for recycling. Good on him.
Oh, jeez. Um,
It's just so funny how we naturally instinctively do these things and we don't even know why.
yeah.
But right there, you just rambled off a handful of things that we do. And, it's, definitely makes you think.
Another one's real easy. You put your hand on your heart,
I
either hand or
pledge
both hands.
allegiance.
What?
I
Yeah,
pledge
like you're doing
allegiance.
the Pledge of Allegiance. Putting your hand on your heart like that actually releases oxytocin, similar to as if you were hugging someone.
Oh, like hugging yourself type
Yeah,
of thing.
same idea. And you don't look nuts doing it. So
You just look very patriotic.
yes.
America.
Um, Another easy one. What else is there? I know there's more.
I'm a good just fan of the weighted blanket and or large hug. So
Same idea. Yeah,
yeah,
you feel safe and secure.
that's right.
Yep.
Also my cats, but that's me.
Yeah. So things like that you can do quickly in the moment as you're getting stressed out, just to keep things from getting to a point where they're out of hand. Um, but I think the biggest key for a lot of people is just learning to recognize what stress feels like, because a lot of people aren't aware of that. They don't know how stress feels in the body. Stress to a lot of people is strictly thoughts, and they think that they're in stress, but a lot of times we can be stressed and not even know it. We don't know we're not aware of how that feels in the body.
It's the majority of us nowadays. It's just you live in it. It's what it is.
So a lot of this work I do with people is like getting them into their bodies, familiar with the sensations of stress and the sensations of relaxation. So you take the thought aspect out of the equation. A lot of times it's our thoughts that get us stressed out anyway.
I I stress myself out sometimes. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I rambled on about stress there.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought aspect, that's a big part of this, right? A lot of us have intrusive thoughts, anxious thoughts.
Again, targeted. That's fine.
Not just at you.
I know.
These what if, what about,
Oh
what
yeah.
if, yeah. Right. So, I mean, that's difficult to deal with for a lot of folks. And calming down the nervous system is a big part of that. It's like you calm down your body and then you can calm down your thoughts. It's like trying to do it the other way around is kind of more difficult a lot of the time. It's hard to think yourself calm.
It's like just calm down. Okay.
Yeah, just calm down. Yeah,
I'm going to see how well that works.
that's hard to do. And we focus a lot on like reframing negative intrusive thoughts. We all have intrusive thoughts that are crazy and negative, but it's like, how much energy are you investing in those thoughts? How much time are you spending thinking, rethinking those thoughts? So building the habit in folks that like okay, I had an intrusive thought. I caught it in the moment and I reframed it. So it's the understanding that just because you think it doesn't mean it's true is a big part of it. And, we want to reframe these into thoughts that are like more aligned with self-compassion, self-love. Um, Something a lot of people struggle with.
You're making this sound very easy, but
It's not easy. I don't want to make that assumption or
just
that
do it.
send
It's
that
fine.
message. It's not just you can't, yeah, it's not that easy. It takes practice is the biggest thing. Not doing any of this stuff is not hard. Doing it consistently is hard. Making it a habit is hard. It's not that any of these actions in themselves are hard. They're all easy to do, but they're hard to do all the time. It's like any habit. Like the first 2 weeks of going to the gym are awful, right? But after you make it a habit, it becomes second nature. So when we think of like our behavior, like 90% of what we do is unconscious. It's our ingrained programs that are just running automatically. Okay. The amount that we actually do consciously is very little because we're usually thinking instead of acting consciously.
Like that muscle memory, autopilot
Yeah.
things
So,
going.
and this serves a very real, useful purpose. If we had to consciously think about how to walk everywhere, how annoying would that be?
I would forget to breathe or where I was going or.
Right, exactly. So it's like learning any other skill. We're learning how to ride a bike. At first, it's very hard. You got to think about what you're doing, and then it becomes second nature. You don't even have to think about it. Like driving is the same thing. Once you get good at it, you can end up where you were going and not realize the hell you even got there.
I've done that before, and then I get there, I'm like, whoa, shit. Little too much autopilot there.
So a lot of this is about consciously changing our behavior, spending a lot of time and energy, in that conscious state, focus on what we're doing so that it becomes a habit and then it becomes second nature. Because we kind of have these natural tendencies to focus on the negative, focus on what's wrong. That's a survival instinct.
I have great instincts then. Great instincts.
We're more likely to survive if we see the lion creeping up on us in the grass instead of the pretty flowers up in the tree. It's going to keep us alive longer, but it leads to a poorer quality of life.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Right. So, um, yeah.
Yeah.
So, in regards to autoimmunity specifically, we tie a lot of this in with like our diet, our lifestyle, um, slow down, reconnect with your gut feelings. When it comes to diet, like eat what makes you feel good, not what's pleasurable to eat, but what makes you feel good.
Oh, I definitely took that the first way. Yeah. I was
Totally
like
different concept.
jalapeno Cheetos and gummy worms. Check.
Yeah, those are all pleasurable to eat,
Yes, they are.
but do they make you feel good?
They make my soul feel good. My hands and the joints in them, maybe not.
Yeah, and I think that's a big aspect for a lot of people is differentiating what those two concepts mean. And really, like I said, again, getting into the body with those sensations, those feelings. Eat something that's pleasurable to eat, but do it mindfully. So you're seeing what sensations are there that make it pleasurable. And then when you eat something you feel good about eating, that it's good for your body, how does that feel differently?
Well, that's annoying to think about.
Because they feel very different.
Yes.
But we spend so much time up here in our heads and our thoughts. We don't know what sensations are going on. We ignore those. We don't tune into those much. So a lot of this process is about mindfulness, is about getting into the body, somaticizing things, really paying attention and getting curious how things feel in the body and why.
So we need to listen to ourselves a little more.
Precisely. Our bodies know what's good for us.
We need to stop ignoring those signs and things like that. And I have a lot of friends who are that way. Hell, I'm in the hair industry. We've all got pains and aches and this and that. And, oh, I just don't worry about it. No, maybe we should start listening to ourselves a little more, not just on that physical level, but the stress we're dealing with and why. I harp on them all the time about it. They think I'm nuts, but it's fine.
Usually when people think you're nuts, it's because you're onto something.
Or it's your foil hat. Either way.
Don't knock my foil hat. It improves the sound quality, I swear.
Yep.
uh, what do you want to add? Anything?
As far as someone who does struggle with a lot of this stuff, I feel like I do this every episode, depending on what topic it is. As someone who struggles with this,
I promise we'll get to stuff you don't struggle with.
God, I hope so. Because, like I said, I'm starting to feel like the podcast guinea pig. No, it is hard. It is really hard to deal with these things and, um, have these pains or the this is and the that's and the what's does it go with it, and then you start looking into maybe the other reasons why, and it kind of makes you feel a whole type of way. You and I have gotten into many, let's be honest, I've gotten real pissed at you about, you know, you try to help me with these things and I'm like, nope, don't like that. And it's I will die on that hill that it's usually the mental aspect that is so much harder than it is the physical. And um you've got to come to terms with that. You got to come to grips with it. And until you do, you're just gonna be stuck in that circle of dealing with this shit, you know? So
And we'll probably have the same topic, the same discussion about so many other conditions.
yeah, we did the mental health one in the beginning. We're doing this one now. And
I would say pretty much every chronic disease there is out there, this has a very big role to play in it. And when we talk about, like we were talking about the epigenetic aspect earlier, that's so important. And all these diseases, they keep looking for the cancer gene, okay, that doesn't exist, but it's epigenetics. It's us affecting our chemistry with our thoughts and our emotions, as well as what we're putting in our bodies.
Well, and that's like when folks get genetic testing done, and it's like, oh, you have the gene for Alzheimer's. And immediately they think, oh, that's it, we're done.
Yeah. How much fear does that create?
Oh my God. Okay, so a mild example of that. I have, 23andMe. I did and I decided to add on the health portion because, I've got crap that runs in the family. You just curiosity, who isn't? And it tests for like the BRCA, whatever, for breast cancer. It has the Alzheimer. It has this. It has that. It tests for so many things. Oh my God, the amount of things it tested for. There was a slew of them. A lot of them were those poor Ashkenazi Jew folks. I'm telling you, ooh, all that wandering in the desert for all them years did them dirty. But it made you click probably 3 different acceptance buttons before it would show you the results because they're like, are you sure? There are things in here that may be completely life changing. I mean, it's like they work you up like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And luckily, I didn't have any of these serious things. I did find out that macular degeneration, which does, I have family members with that, and a deafness at birth. I'm not procreating anymore, so I don't have to worry about that. But, they really, that instills a lot of fear in you. So why wouldn't you end up making yourself sick over it?
So it's like you hear people say, "Oh, cancer runs my family." Is that really true, or is it learned behavior that's causing epigenetic changes that leads to cancer?
It's a wild thought, and for people to think that, and this is where you and I get into the arguments. I'm causing this myself, and that can piss people off.
Well, there's a difference though between,
I know.
yeah, you have some responsibility in it, but it's not like you're consciously making the decision
No.
to cause this issue. And a lot of it's, again, pre-programmed processes that we're running automatically that we learn at a young age from watching our parents and other people we're around. And so much of this idea of change is about becoming aware of what are our automatic programs and how do we change those through conscious creation of new habits, new programs. So if you think about it, like if I want to make a change, I want to eat better. But I have a history of, like, if I get stressed out, I eat things that aren't good for me. I run to the sugar, for example. Just throwing out examples.
I say, well, now I know you're not talking about me. I like a savory snack, but fine.
Okay. Or a savory snack.
No, I was wanting you to not talk about me for this time.
Okay, I won't. Sugar. So I gravitate to sugar when I get stressed. That's an automatic program that I have that I learned somewhere. Maybe I learned it from my mother, my father, my brother, whatever. It doesn't matter. But becoming aware of that's what I do in that situation is step one. Step two is making a conscious decision to replace that with something else and making the conscious effort to do it repeatedly so that it becomes a pre-programmed automatic process to react differently in that situation.
A lot of self-reflection in this.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
I don't like that.
It's like when I work with people with chronic pain and mind body syndrome, it's all about curiosity. It's all about getting curious about, why am I doing this? Why am I feeling this? Why am I thinking this? And a lot of times it's like a trauma response that was learned in childhood, for example. And just coming to that realization that that is why I'm doing this
We've all got those.
is like a big deal a lot of the time because it had no idea. It wasn't clear. Why am I sabotaging my life like this? you know, but once you have that understanding, it's like, okay, now I know what's going on and why. Now I can create a plan and what to do about it. So yeah, there's some level of responsibility here, but not to a degree like you're making the conscious decision to destroy your life time after time after time. It's like, no, you're more than likely, you're just running off a program that you had installed at some point in your life. You're not consciously doing it. But you do have to get to that level of self-understanding, self-curiosity to move past that, to change it.
So I got a lot of work to do.
We all have a lot of work to do. That's how this works. It's never done.
Well, that's, yeah. Brings you down a little bit.
But it's like if you want your life to change, you've got to make changes.
Changes.
Yeah.
Little David Bowie for you.
What did I miss?
Oh God. A lot. A lot. That's the thing with autoimmunity. There is so much So many things. It affects everybody differently. There's different reasons and causes. It just, you can't hit it all, you know?
So, if I could make a book recommendation, there's a book called Gut Feelings by Dr. Will Cole. A fantastic book about a lot of what we talked about, how, he's the one who coined the term shameflammation, and he goes a lot into the science of how that happens, how that works. But the best thing out of that I like recommending it for, because he has a 21-day reset plan in there that's all geared towards cutting the stress out of making change. So it's not like, let's do an elimination diet. Let's go through your pantry and throw everything away.
Did that.
We're not doing that kind of thing. We're like, he has 21 days of challenges. He has one challenge each day. One's geared towards the gut and one's geared towards mental health. And they're like experiments. Try this.
You told me you couldn't have found this book before you subjected me to that crap.
I don't think it was published then.
No? Oh, well.
But he's like, try this out. If you like it, keep doing it. If you don't like it, move on.
Here's Megan.
No
taking one for the
stress,
team.
no expectations. So I've given that to several people, and the reactions I've gotten are positive. They're like, yeah, that wasn't a big deal. It was fun to try new things without the expectation of doing it forever. And it's really focused on like getting in touch, that curiosity aspect. How does this food make me feel? Not, is it pleasurable to eat? Does it taste good? But how does it make me feel? So
Well, that's no fun.
That's an awesome book I would recommend. Yeah, so autoimmunity.
It's a bitch.
It is a bitch, and it's a big deal, and it affects a lot of people. And I'd be willing to bet a lot of people have it and don't even know it.
Yeah.
Because the doctors aren't helpful.
Well, it's something that's changing and evolving and hopefully in a better direction in the medical community, and we're understanding it a little better.
It's getting there.
Yeah. Just like everything else, like we've had this exact conversation with the mental health aspect, I believe in the first episode. It's getting there. Is it going to change overnight? No. No.
Not in the right direction anyway.
No.
So yeah, that's some great resources. Again, Dr. Will Cole, Dr. Chris Kresser is another great resource for autoimmunity. Dr. Mark Hyman is another
I've watched his stuff. I do like him.
amazing functional medicine doctor. So yeah. Anything you want to add?
As far as that, no. But I do have a tidbit. We are, like we said, we are recording from home now. So if it sounds a little funky, the recording. If there's any kind of a bad quality here, we're figuring out this setup. So bear with us. Not like, my 5 minutes of terrible mic in like the second episode that everybody tells me about.
You know what?
What?
I never claimed to be an expert.
Yeah, that's the big thing. We're not experts in all of this.
We are learning as we go.
Yeah. And like I said, I seem to be the test subject. So no. But as always, if anybody has any comments or questions or concerns or whatever, get a hold of us. We have an email.
Yeah, email us at esotericwellnesspodcast@gmail.com.
Send us any kind of things that you guys deal with. If you want it to be anonymous, tell us. We don't have to say anything. We've been begging you for this is like the 4th episode now. Somebody send us something.
If you want to share your stories, if you want to request topics of discussion.
That's a good one. I want to hear what do you guys want to hear?
If you want to ask questions about us, whatever, shoot us an email.
Yeah.
And if you like the show, tell your friends, share the link. Just get us out there, get the name out there. And if you want to work with me as a coach, you can find me at my website, kylebonbreak.com. Again, I do coaching in health and wellness, psychedelic integration, and chronic pain recovery.
I don't, so leave me alone.
You don't want to pitch yourself at all here?
No, no. I have enough clients. Thank you. No, but I mean, if you live in the city where we live, not going to throw it out there because I don't know. I guess there could be like weird stalkers, but I'm running. I'm running for city council. Trying to make changes everywhere.
Big freaking deal.
Yeah, I'm a big freaking deal. Not really, but we're trying to make physical changes in ourselves, and I want to try to make positive changes in the community. And so there's my stress. Not only do you stress me out with your rants of industrial seed oils and your mind body connection, and God knows what else topic we're on that day, but I bring my own level of stress too. So I need to start doing the hanging upside down, weird breathing and stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, send us some stuff. And I want to see what you guys want to hear about. I want to know what kind of weird off health topics. And I mean, you've seen what we've covered so far. We have a range, man.
We've just scratched the surface.
I'm trying to talk about leeches, but he won't let me do that.
We did autoimmunity today because I already had it all put together. Because I did a class on it a while ago.
He cheated. So, all right. Well, thanks for listening and putting up with us for the 4th time. And I hope everybody's happy because we had a lot of people bitching about getting this out. So hopefully now we'll be back on a more regular schedule.
Things have settled down a little bit. So
you said that, and now you just manifested some real bad shit out in the universe, and now it's going to get stupid again.
Hey, we'll deal with it.
Okay.
It'll be good shit. Positive thoughts. Positive thoughts. Fine. Reframe that shit.
That's right.
Yeah. Tell your friends, leave reviews, check us out. There's a donate link as well if you feel like donating to the cause, maybe help us upgrade equipment or
yeah, then we won't sound like shit.
Maybe some soundproofing or who knows, if you feel the need. If not, so be it.
I also have a donation link for my campaign. So yeah, find that. And I'm just saying, if you want to split it down the middle, that's fine.
I said we weren't getting political.
You asked me if I wanted to plug myself. I'm doing it. We are not getting political. I can get political.
No, we're not going down that road.
I let you ramble.
Listen, you need to start your own show.
No.
If you want to do that.
I don't need
I'll be your guest.
No. You don't care about politics.
Everyone can listen to my ears bleed as you go on about politics.
like mine do.
I don't see anything.
Anyway, have a good night, folks.
All right. See you guys. Take
care. Bye.